Tonight, remembering a friend and competitor. Australian cyclists fall silent for West Aussie Olympian Melissa Hoskins. An ocean rescue off Perth's northern beaches. 3 fishermen escaped disaster. Fears for food prices. Farmers threaten to sell more abroad unless supermarkets act. Cameron Bancroft's plea to selectors. The opener ready for redemption. And crowd control with a difference. Security guards and racing fans exchange blows.
This is 9 News Perth with Michael Genovese.
Good evening. As Melissa Hoskins' family prepares to farewell her here in Perth, a special tribute's been staged honouring the Olympian ahead of the Women's National Road Cycling Championships. The 32-year-old killed when she was hit by a car driven by her husband outside their Adelaide home a week ago.
Helmeted, heads bowed, the usually excited build-up to a race start instead observed as a minute of silence. Tears shed as Australia's women's cycling community grieve together.
Mel was a mother, a daughter, a sister, a very much loved friend, and beyond this she was an Olympian, a world beater and one of the best athletes Australian cycling has and will ever see.
It's a week since 32-year-old former Olympian Melissa Hoskins died from the injury she suffered when she was hit by her husband's ute outside the family's Adelaide home. He is alleged to have been at the wheel. Also, an Olympic cyclist, Rowan Dennis, is charged with causing the death amid an act to endanger life. The National Road Cycling Championships in Ballarat, the first time the shocked Australian riding community has been together since.
Mel was a beacon of strength, determination and bravery. Her vibrant spirit and resilience inspired everyone around her. She brought a unique lightheartedness to our lives.
The cycling community is tight-knit. Many at today's women's race start knew Melissa well.
I had the pleasure of racing with her for a few years and she was a really strong part of the team, a super loyal teammate and will be greatly missed.
I think everyone's devastated. It's pretty shocking to see a loss of life and a fellow cyclist lose their life in tragic circumstances.
The next event on the cycling calendar is the biggest, the Tour Down Under here in Adelaide. Rowan Dennis is a former winner. He was set to be an ambassador this year, but has now been dropped from the program. Instead, there will be another tribute to his wife before an Adelaide memorial service and then a private family funeral in her hometown of Perth.
I'm sure the cycling community and the rest of Australia will get behind the family and wrap their arms around the kids as well.
Inga Nielsen, 9 News.
An out-of-control fire is burning in Perth's southeast. Live to Amber Wilkinson in Albury. Amber, homes and lives are under threat?
Yeah, that's right, Michael. Right now, this blaze is not contained or controlled and is moving in a northeasterly direction. It started just before 4 this afternoon near the intersection of King Road and Jackson Road here in Albury, east of Rockingham. Now, a watch and act is in place for those bound by King Road, Boomerang Road, Carragottich Road and Leopold Road. The advice is to leave now if you're not prepared to defend your home, and there are some roadblocks in place, so motorists are being warned to avoid the area. Michael.
Amber, thanks for the update. Meanwhile, north of Perth, a bushfire is also raging. DFS crews are warning of a possible threat to homes and lives, issuing a watch and act. It's for the area bounded by Yanchep Road in the north, Wanneroo Road in the west, Bernard Road north to south, and Dulwich Road in the east, in the eastern parts of Yanchep National Park. Anyone not prepared or who are planning to leave should now do so if the way is clear. A close call for 3 boaties today, their vessel taking on water near Perth's northern beaches. Marine rescue on the scene fast, reminding those headed out to sea this summer to be prepared.
Safely back on land, a lucky escape for these 3 fishermen after their boat took on water. Their first call for help just before 10 this morning.
No power taking on water. Question, do you have any means of bilging out the water?
They didn't.
You are hand bailing. We will get a rescue underway.
Marine rescue on the scene within minutes.
The vessel is safely back at the marina and the 3 persons have been safely ashore.
Taken back into Ocean Reef Marina, the fishermen in good spirits.
We were taking on a little bit of water, but the guys came out pretty quickly and brought us back.
Quietly concerned is probably a good way of putting that, which is, I think, fairly commendable. Some people do have a habit of panicking, but they were definitely bailing fairly hard with the water coming onto the boats.
It's been a busy time for marine rescue and there are no signs of things slowing down.
After we'd finished that first one, we were called straight back out again for another rescue. That was a more routine rescue.
The advice for boaties this summer: carry life jackets, flares, a personal locator beacon and have a marine radio fitted to your vessel in case of an emergency.
Safety equipment on board definitely makes a big difference to someone's survivability if something does happen.
Emma Griffiths, 9 News.
A Bridgetown man has been charged with the murder of Raymond Smith, the 68-year-old, last seen a month ago. His body found on Friday on the outskirts of Greenbushes in our southwest. 35-year-old Kevin Potter was remanded in custody. He's due back in court on January 31. A Perth man will be extradited to Melbourne over multiple offences from 2019. 9 News understands 50-year-old Wiley Harrison has been slapped with a string of charges, including an alleged hit and run involving a motorcyclist. He's expected to front a Victorian court tomorrow. A motorcyclist has been seriously hurt in a 4-vehicle collision on the Graham Farmer Freeway near East Parade. The 45-year-old man taken to Royal Perth Hospital around 11:30 last night. Investigations are ongoing. Police want to hear from anyone with dashcam vision of the crash. 5 people have been treated in hospital after a man allegedly went on a 3-hour stabbing rampage targeting strangers across Melbourne. Police say they found a backpack full of weapons after arresting a 31-year-old.
10 o'clock on a busy entertainment strip in Melbourne CBD. Watch as the man in the black T-shirt is ambushed from behind. Knifed in the back of the leg, allegedly by a stranger. The 24-year-old cries out in agony as a crowd forms in disbelief.
The male wouldn't have known, the victim wouldn't have known it was coming.
The alleged spree began in Southbank around 9:30 when a 28-year-old man was stabbed in his leg and torso. After that was the King Street incident around half an hour later. Then police say he likely used public transport to travel 9 kilometres to St Kilda East, allegedly attacking a couple as they walked near a cemetery, leaving her with life-threatening injuries and her partner with a laceration to his leg. After that, the alleged offender travelled west to the centre of St Kilda, where he's accused of stabbing a 31-year-old British tourist in the leg. The aftermath captured on CCTV.
It's pretty terrifying to think that something like a random attack like that as well, so close to home, can happen.
There was always blood on the pavement. A significant amount of blood.
He was arrested in Melbourne's East almost half an hour later after he allegedly fled on foot.
Someone was screaming, "Stand still, put your hands by your side."
Police spotted the man travelling on a train in Melbourne's East. That's when he allegedly fled on foot up this suburban street. Officers were forced to use pepper spray to subdue him after they say he was showing signs that he was either drug affected or in the throes of a mental health episode. Police allege in his backpack was a trove of weapons, including kitchen knives.
On each occasion, the victims were minding their own business. They wouldn't have even known that they were about to be attacked.
Amber Johnston, 9 News.
A popular car festival turned ugly when a brawl broke out between patrons and security guards. Fans at Summernats were filmed being beaten and kicked after security guards lost control in Canberra.
Their vests say crowd safety, but their fists are sending a different message. It's ugly, it's bloody. It's Summernats 2024 in Canberra, where the unsanctioned slugfest sideshow became the main event yesterday afternoon.
What the actual
Provoked or not, this is crowd control like you've rarely seen before. Security guards and patrons at war. Punches thrown from both sides throughout almost countless smaller skirmishes.
Get booted. See you later. Don't want to play by the rules. See you later.
Some guys take it a bit too too far of a Saturday afternoon.
In this moment, crowd safety staff chase down a patron, throw him against the wall, with this guard apparently kicking him in the head while he's on the ground. This guard in the red hat features in several clips taken by racing fans. Appearing to throw plenty of punches.
We own Summernats.
At plenty of patrons, including ones that aren't even looking.
In big crowds, there's always going to be, you know, the guys that go around and want to cause problems.
ACT police were busy.
You need to get both of them.
2 patrons were arrested for unrelated incidents, and the crowd controllers questioned before their supervisor packed some of them onto a bus and ordered them to leave. Summernats is meant to be Revhead heaven. A 4-day festival with fans fuelled by roaring engines and screeching tyres, giving the term Hot Wheels a whole new meaning. Police are investigating and out in force on the final day of the festival. Alexia, 9 News.
Australia's farmers are warning we could soon be struggling to fill our fridges and pantries. The pressure is on supermarkets to rectify the discrepancy between what they pay producers and what we pay at the checkout.
They've fought through droughts, floods and fires, but tonight our farmers say it's prices pushing them to the wall.
It's destroying us. We're going broke. Industry's going broke. There's a serious risk to food security in Australia. A serious risk.
Producers angry that the prices they get paid don't match the prices we all pay at the checkout.
Supermarkets are cleaning up, and they're cleaning up not just at farms' expense, they're cleaning up at consumers' expense as well.
They're paying us back $2.20 a kilo. They're retailing $6.50 this week, so you can see the difference.
Ross Marcelino spoke to the Today Show while harvesting his zucchinis.
Going forward, what are we going to do with our farmers? We're not talking about just zucchinis, we're talking about all produce.
Yeah. This is an issue that I've been calling on the supermarkets to deal with for months now.
Tonight, the Albanese government is reviewing the Supermarket Code of Conduct, and a Senate inquiry will look at the power and practices of supermarkets over the next few months. Coles and Woolies say they are cooperating. Producers say they have no choice but to look elsewhere.
I'm not doing well in Japan, but I know what I'm getting, and I know I'm not losing.
You'll have less produce coming to Australia. In fact, we could be relying on more imports, while Australian producers feel they get better returns sending their product overseas, which means Australian consumers miss out.
It's really important for our national economy that we do export our fruit, veg and other agricultural production, but we also want to make sure farmers receive a decent pay from supermarkets when it comes to supplying the domestic market as well.
Keeping Australian produce in Australia will benefit farmers and shoppers. Tonight, giving Australian consumers more information may help make that a reality.
Publish wholesale prices so the public get to see what the grower's getting, because it's not us charging stupid money, it's the damn retailer.
We need the ACCC to get underneath the bonnet of this and to understand how much the supermarkets are gouging both our fruit farmers and our meat producers, so that everyone's getting a fair price from the farm gate right through to your plate.
Charles Croucher, 9 News.
Boeing is facing serious questions over the safety of its aircraft after one of its MAX fleet suffered a mid-air blowout. The Alaska Airlines plane, one of almost 200 now grounded, needing immediate inspection.
Confusion in the cabin and from the cockpit of Flight 1282, this distress call.
We are emergency, we are depressurized, we do need to return back to, we have 177 passengers.
I woke up to the plane just falling and I knew it was not just normal turbulence because the masks came down, and that's when the panic definitely started to set in.
We were very lucky that this happened at a little over 16,000 feet, not at 35,000 feet. This could have been catastrophic.
Tonight, America's aviation watchdog grounding 171 Boeing planes and ordering immediate inspections on the 737 MAX 9 model amid questions as to how a hunk of Alaska Air's fuselage was ripped away. The plane was travelling from Portland, Oregon to Ontario, California when the cabin suffered a blowout. It's a section on the MAX 8 where a door can, on some models, be installed.
This wasn't even the
It's essentially a fuselage plug because this is a smaller version of the MAX aircraft, and it doesn't require that many exits.
There was thankfully no one seated near the window.
This isn't the first time Boeing's fleet has come under scrutiny. 4 years ago, the 737 MAX jets were grounded globally in the wake of 2 deadly crashes on MAX 8s.
I would not fly any of these aircraft again that have that door until they've been inspected thoroughly.
No Australian airlines use this aircraft, and while this is an incredibly rare occurrence, from the experts,
keep your seat belts fastened is the one thing you can do.
In the United States, Lauren Tomazi, 9 News.
A 4.1 magnitude earthquake has shaken parts of the Kimberley. The epicentre, 87 kilometres north of Halls Creek and 10 kilometres deep. Recorded just before midday. There's been no reports of any damage or injuries. A check of today's weather now with Brittany Hoskins. Britt, it was Perth's hottest day of the year so far.
By about 3 degrees, Jenna. Perth hit its top temperature of 36 around 1 o'clock this afternoon after an overnight low of 18.1. Right now it's hovering around 30 degrees. Pearce was our hottest suburb today with the mercury peaking at 38. Rottnest, the coolest place to be, the temperature there falling shy of 30 degrees. Looking ahead, a deep trough over WA will move inland tomorrow, while a high pressure ridge should keep much of the south of the state dry and settled. Another hot day for Perth tomorrow before the heat eases in the middle of the week. Jenna, it won't last. I'll have all the details on what's in store coming up.
Britt, looking forward to it. Thank you. Stay with us next. 3 months of war, and despite US efforts to stop conflict spreading, Israel faces violence on a second front. Plus, Donald Trump hits the campaign trail, claiming a victory in November's election will be his third. And a freak tornado damages homes and downs power lines. Weather officials catching it with just minutes to spare. Today marks 3 months since the Hamas-Israel war began. As the US tries to limit conflict spreading, Hezbollah has launched a barrage of missiles from southern Lebanon into Israel.
Thunder in the hills. As Hezbollah and Israeli forces exchange fire. Hezbollah launched a barrage of 62 rockets at northern Israel. A preliminary response, it said, for the assassination of Hamas deputy leader in Beirut. The IDF response, attacks on what it says were Hezbollah compounds deep inside the Lebanese border. The sounds of war echoed around northern Israel. Most residents in these towns have gone, but not all.
I'm not worried or afraid with the missile, with the alarms, because I used to it.
In Gaza, as aid trucks made their way in, some of the most desperately needed supplies were finally delivered. Medicines via the World Health Organization.
This is the first time we've been able to make this delivery in about 10 days. So hospitals have been running short on some supplies, but we hope that this delivery and future deliveries will help to meet the needs of these hospitals, which are working at 2 or 3 times their normal capacity.
Flying into the fray once again, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Turkey at the start of a week-long trip to try to prevent further escalation.
It is vital that we engage in this diplomacy now, both for the sake of the future of Gaza itself and more broadly.
It's his 4th such mission since the October 7 Hamas attacks and Israel's relentless response. The stakes have never been higher. As thousands protested in Tel Aviv against Benjamin Netanyahu's government, 3 months on, there's still no agreed picture of when this conflict ends or how. Brett McLeod, 9 News.
Donald Trump has hit the campaign trail in the US state of Iowa on the 3rd anniversary of the January 6 Capitol riot. The former president spent 2 hours pleading his case to young voters, hitting back at Joe Biden's claims he's a threat to democracy.
We have a man, he can't put 2 sentences together, he can't speak. He can't, although yesterday he tried to play tough guy, you know, I'm a threat to democracy. He's a threat to democracy because he's incompetent.
Mr. Trump also claimed he'll win November's election for what he says will be the 3rd time. The rescue mission in Japan's Ishikawa prefecture has now become a recovery one, 6 days after a 7.6 magnitude earthquake struck the region. The death toll from the New Year's Day quake has risen to 126, with more than 200 people still unaccounted for. 11 people, including 5 children, have been killed by a Russian airstrike in Ukraine's partially occupied Donetsk province. Local authorities say another 8 people were injured. Ukraine fought back, claiming it struck Russia's Saki military airbase in Crimea. A freak tornado's hit the US city of Miami and it was almost missed by weather radars. The monster storm damaging homes and downing power lines only minutes after the area was issued a warning.
It could be a scene from a Marvel movie. But this mega storm is no special effect.
That's it. Oh my God!
A tornado rolling through the town of Fort Lauderdale in Florida. The force of the storm creating explosions.
It's full blown now.
Residents anxiously watching on from their high-rise apartments with no time to prepare.
Oh my God, this is so scary to watch. This is literally my worst fear.
I'm so happy it's going away. Oh, just flip that boat over.
Have you people come to us? No.
The National Weather Service issued an alert around 5:50 p.m. local time, just 5 minutes before the funnel cloud formed over the coastal city, creating flashes of green light, sparks and hurling debris, before forming a waterspout over the harbour.
Oh my God, Ryan.
Damaging boats and downing power lines.
It hit like an electrical grid.
Emergency crews now working to clean up the mess and restore electricity. There have been no reports of injuries.
Oh my God.
Erin Ramsey, 9 News.
Learning from a tragedy. Next, the calls to improve safety at level crossings. A legend of soccer behind 4 World Cup victories, Mario Zagallo dies, aged 92. And ready to roll, the largest ever Aussie Open Ball Kids squad is good to go. Welcome back. The country's largest rail freight operator is calling for a national summit to improve safety at tens of thousands of level crossings. It follows the deaths of 2 train drivers in an accident in South Australia on New Year's Eve.
The Barrier Highway in South Australia near the New South Wales border, the scene of a New Year's Eve tragedy. Train drivers Mick Warren and Kevin Baker killed when a heavy vehicle allegedly struck their locomotive.
Sometimes that's rail employees, sometimes it's road employees. It doesn't matter. All lives matter. More has to be done. It has to be done more quickly, and we are calling for an urgent summit nationally.
Pacific National wants that to involve federal and state governments, industry groups, private operators and unions to consider life-saving measures and reforms. Every year, an average of 28 people are killed at one of the more than 23,000 railway level crossings in Australia, and then there are the injuries and hundreds of near misses. Maddie Bott's fiancé Ethan Hunter and a work colleague were driving a road train when they collided with a Pacific National locomotive at a level crossing between Young and Grenfell in New South Wales nearly 3 years ago. Both were killed instantly.
I just can't believe how long it has taken for people to see that we still have a 19th century approach to level crossings. It's awful. It's like these people who die don't matter.
Maddie's been campaigning for better safety at crossings ever since, frustrated and angry that little, if anything, has changed.
I'm so devastated that that happened, that 2 more men lost their lives while at work.
New South Wales is now trialling a system of train driver activated LED warning signs to better alert road drivers at level crossings. While every level crossing has different variables when it comes to how safe they are, Maddie Bott believes that those that are inherently unsafe, such as the one where her fiancé died, should be closed altogether, especially when there are safer ones nearby.
We owe it to those families, the families of Mick and Kevin, to learn as much as we can from this event to make sure that we do what we can to prevent it from ever happening again.
Maddie agrees.
You just can't put a cost on someone's life.
In a statement, the federal government says it's already acting with funding for research and trials of new technology to be announced next week. Eddie Meyer, 9 News.
Olympic gold medal shooter Michael Diamond has lost his chance of a comeback at the Paris Games, failing in his bid to overturn a firearms ban. The 51-year-old had his gun licence revoked after being found guilty of firearms and drink driving charges in 2017. The New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal has upheld the ban, ending his hopes of taking part in the upcoming Olympic qualifiers. Brazilian football legend Mario Zagallo has died aged 92. He won 4 World Cups as either a player or coach. The left winger starred in Brazil's first victory and managed the 1970 team, which featured Pelé. It was all smiles at the court of Melbourne Park today as the largest squad of ball kids in Australian Open history gathered for a team photo. 424 of them decked out in Ralph Lauren uniforms. They'll be chasing, catching and rolling balls alongside their idols when the Open begins next Sunday. Fueling the future. Still to come, the car companies releasing hydrogen-powered vehicles. Plus, the Aussie actor tipped to win big. Award season is upon us. But first, Alexia Pesce is here with Sport. Lexi, a former Aussie opener has broken his silence.
Michael Cameron Bancroft has launched a heartfelt appeal pushing his case to return to international duties. In form and in line, but is it enough for the selectors to bring back bangers? Alex elevates himself into an exclusive group, but is he ready for the next step? And out of the Open, a mystery injury sends a star to the sideline. West Aussie Cameron Bancroft says he owes it to Australia to apply the lessons from Sandpapergate if he's named as David Warner's Test replacement. The former international opener is in run-scoring form, but selectors are seriously considering a surprise candidate.
The morning after, a night to remember. Australia's cricketers taking the party from the SCG to the CBD, celebrating the career of David Warner. A private performance from singer Tones and I. Far removed from the farewell, Cameron Bancroft, desperate for his ticket back into the Test team.
It's something that I really want. I feel like I'm, physically, mentally and emotionally, ready to take that opportunity.
It's been 5 years since Bancroft was last in an Australian squad. Instead, he's shone in the Sheffield Shield. Over the last 2 summers, he has more runs than anyone else and lessons after his Sandpapergate ban.
The past has been a great ground for me to, learn things about myself, and feel like I definitely, owe it to my country to put those lessons into play, try to apply them to all aspects of my life and make me a better person and, cricketer in the process.
Bancroft's dream could be denied by a surprise selection shift. Coach Andrew McDonald confirming the panel is considering a non-traditional opener for the role, placing Cameron Green as the front-runner.
I think Cameron Green's potentially underrated in the way that he can play at Test level as well. We know he's got those gears. We know that he can play the high and the low. And he's arguably in our best liner, depending on which way we go.
How would you feel if selectors went with a non-traditional opener?
Naturally, I would feel disappointed. Obviously, some players have been able to transition and go to the top and do really well, but. I feel like it's probably a, specialist position, and at the end of the day, it's not my call and they're not my decisions.
That will be made on Tuesday. Sam Jordan, 9 News.
In the meantime, Cam Bancroft will focus on tomorrow's Big Bash clash. Playing for the Thunder this season, it'll be the first time he faces his old side, the Perth Scorchers. Perth looking to bounce back against 7th place Sydney after suffering their first loss of the season to a struggling Adelaide Strikers on Friday.
It's always dangerous when you play a team that that really needs to win, but our mindset doesn't change. I think we focus on what we do well, and we know they're a dangerous team, so we'll just try and play some good cricket.
The Scorchers then playing their 4th game in a week in Brisbane against the Heat on Wednesday. Heartbreaking news for tennis fans, with superstar Rafael Nadal withdrawing from this year's Australian Open just a week out from competition. The 22-time Grand Slam champion taking to social media to break the news, saying he suffered a small problem on a muscle with an MRI later revealing a micro tear. While it's not clear where the injury is, Nadal has ruled out it's related to a previous hip injury that required surgery. The 37-year-old will head back to Spain for treatment and rest. Alex Diminor has become the first Australian man to reach a top 10 ranking since Leighton Hewitt in 2006. The 24-year-old's rise coming after a fighting victory over Germany's Alexander Zverev in Australia's narrow United Cup semi-final loss.
The demon raising hell like never before.
Diminor does it for Australia.
First taming world number 10 Taylor Fritz, then the best in the business. Last night, rounding out a trio of top 10 triumphs, overcoming an opening set struggle to defeat 6th-ranked Alexander Zverev.
Beating another top 10 player, quality player, and playing an extremely high-level match.
Alex Diminor, the first Aussie male to hit the highest echelon since his mentor 18 years ago.
To be able to do it in Sydney on Kenrosal Arena, in front of friends, family, it's a memory that I'll cherish forever.
Somewhere he plans on staying.
This last week has helped my record significantly against top 10 opponents, and I've shown that I've been able to do it and back it up.
The now world number 10 levelling the tie after Ajla Tomljanovic's 3-set defeat to 3-time Grand Slam champion Angelique Kerber. Perth pair Storm Hunter and Matt Ebden unable to convert in a thrilling tiebreak to claim the semi-final.
Team Germany find their way to the final.
Iga Swiatek's victory over Angelique Kerber seeing Team Poland to a 1-0 lead.
The Poles are off to the perfect start.
Hubert Hurkacz and Alexander Zverev neck and neck in a second-set tiebreak in the men's singles. Last year's Australian Open winner and world number 4 Elena Rybakina claiming a 6th career title, sweeping Arina Sabalenka to win the Brisbane International 6-love, 6-1.
Game is masterclass.
In the men's, Grigor Dimitrov defeating Holger Rune 7-6, 6-4. Erin Harwood, 9 News.
The Wildcats are returning from the longest trip in the NBL with a win, defeating the New Zealand Breakers 108-102. Perth fighting back from a 14-point deficit in the second quarter. Bryce Cotton again at his brilliant best, given extra attention and fouled 11 times. But still, he was unstoppable, scoring 31 points, including a career-high 16 free throws.
Cotton. Went for the steal and one. Bryce Cotton doing what Bryce Cotton does.
Keanu Pinder escaping serious injury after being subbed out in the final quarter with an ankle injury, cleared to play in Saturday's open air game against the Phoenix. Former Docker Rory Lobb is preparing to spend more time in the ruck ahead of his second season with the Bulldogs. After an eye-opening stint in the VFL, the 30-year-old says he's willing to try anything to turn things around at the kennel.
It's on this ground where Rory Lobb might just be at his happiest.
There's a bit of an obsession with golf, to be honest. I'm down here most weeks.
But as the Dogs prepare to return to pre-season this week, he couldn't be more excited to swing back into action.
I think this is the third or fourth year that I haven't really missed any sessions in pre-season, so I don't know if that correlates to anything. But no, I mean, it's been going well. Body feels good. The boys are humming around and excited for the season.
Lobb experienced a roller coaster first year at Whitten Oval, although being dropped to the VFL for a fortnight wasn't his lowest point.
It was the first twos game that I've played in about 8 years, so it was actually good to go down with the young boys. And sort of through the middle part of the year, I wasn't playing up to my standards, but I obviously finished off the year pretty well. So it was sort of a good move in the end for me to go down and get a little bit more confidence.
And his performance in the ruck during the final round victory over Geelong has become the blueprint for a new year change.
With that Cats game, it sort of worked pretty well where I jumped in there for a little bit longer. It's just trying to find the right balance between me playing forward and Tim playing forward, and just trying to give him different looks in the middle.
While English would be another tall option in Luke Beveridge's forward mix, Lobb remains confident the Dogs' original Big Four can find a way to thrive together.
We did obviously try that round one. It kind of didn't work, but maybe this year we can look to do it again. We're all fighting for spots at the moment, which is a good place to be.
Joshua Daw, 9 News.
More pain at home for the Perth Glory, again suffering an overtime loss, this time to Melbourne victory. Perth reduced to just 10 men when Bruce Kamau was given a second yellow card and sent off 15 seconds into the second half. Melbourne sealing the 3-2 win in the 96th minute.
It was probably the best we played, I think, this year, and feel disappointed for the boys put in that much effort and come away with nothing but 7 extra minutes again. You got to fight to the end. You can't drop your guard with a minute to go. We've been stung by that 3 times now.
Glory will face Wellington Phoenix on Sunday. The Socceroos will begin their Asia Cup campaign in winning form after beating Bahrain 2-0. An own goal gifting Australia the lead in the friendly clash before Mitch Duke ensured victory, scoring his 12th goal for his country.
And at the back post, surely a goal. Yeah, Mitch Duke nods it in from Craig Goodwin's centre. And Australia have doubled their advantage.
The squad is now heading to Qatar for Saturday's opening game against India. In the NBA, Boston may still be the team to beat, but the Celtics still found plenty of resistance in Indiana, eventually taking care of the Pacers to maintain the league's best record.
Neesmith. Oh, yes. It down. He sure did, because Derek White, he made the pass, tried to get back, and I mean, he just cleared it on his head.
Jason Tatum splashing 8 threes and finishing with 38 points in the win. And in the NFL, the stakes couldn't have been higher with a playoff spot up for grabs. It was win and you're in. And after the Colts let the game slip in the final minute, Houston claimed the spot with a rookie quarterback rising to the occasion.
As Stroud, little play action to start. Good protection. Airs it out for Collins. He's got it. One play. Touchdown, Texans.
Elsewhere, Baltimore's Jadeveon Clowney had his own reason to celebrate in a loss to Pittsburgh. This tackle triggering a $750,000 bonus in his contract. I wouldn't mind that bonus, Jenna. What do you reckon?
How do we get signed up to that?
I don't know. Talk to the boss.
Alexia, thank you. Stay with us next. Clean Green Racing Machines. Look at the cars of the future and while they'll be ready sooner than you think. Plus, shoppers get more than they bargained for after a naked man cannonballed into a store aquarium. And Brittany Hoskins, today's heat will continue into tomorrow.
Perth will kick off the working week in the mid-30s. I'll have the full forecast coming up soon.
Welcome back. In the race for climate-friendly fuel for our cars, there's a new competitor on the grid. A select group of manufacturers have released hydrogen-powered vehicles. Mark Burrows got behind the wheel for a look into our motoring future.
It's not a Porsche or a Ferrari. It's far more unique. I'm behind the wheel of one of the rarest cars on the road, a hydrogen-powered Hyundai.
And here on the dash we can see that the car's driven 16 kilometres since we filled it. We've purified 33.2 kilolitres of air, which is enough for 2 humans to breathe for a whole day.
So no exhaust, in fact you're cleaning the air.
The car is like a rolling air purification system that's cleaning the air of the cars, buses and trucks around us.
With electric-powered car sales booming, Hyundai and Toyota are offering a hydrogen-powered alternative. Forget about hours of charging, you can fill your tank in just 3 minutes. The hydrogen combines with oxygen. The reaction creates the energy that powers the electric motor. The big advantage hydrogen cars have over electric vehicles is range. On average, electric vehicles do around 350k per charge. But the hydrogen car can do 650k on a tank. The downside at this stage, there are only 6 refuelling stations in Australia. It's been road tested in the snowy mountains and west of the Great Dividing Range. You can't buy them yet. A handful are being leased to local governments.
Hydrogen cars are very safe. The hydrogen is stored under high pressure in tanks in the back of the vehicle. They're about 1 inch thick of carbon fibre. And if hydrogen does escape, it's 14 times lighter than air, so it rises at 80 kilometres an hour rather than sitting on the ground like fuel.
Because hydrogen-powered vehicles are well suited for long distances, they are being seen as a potential replacement for diesel trucks and buses. One Australian company, Pure Hydrogen, has produced the Taurus, a hydrogen-powered prime mover. It's already being exported to the US.
About 44,000 trucks are bought every year. We think within 3 to 5 years, most of the trucks will be either battery electric or hydrogen fuel cell trucks.
The downside is they are quite expensive still, and converting that process to create hydrogen is still more expensive than what you get out of even today's electric power.
Hyundai and Toyota are now joining forces to try and ramp up the number of refuelling points. But hydrogen is playing catch-up. It will be an option, but when it comes to passenger cars, electric is shaping up as king of the road. Mark Burrows, 9 News.
Shoppers at an outdoor store in the US state of Alabama got more than they bargained for when a naked man cannonballed into the store's aquarium. The ordeal began when he crashed his car outside the shop and swiftly ended when he was taken down by police. The 42-year-old faces several charges, including public lewdness. Hollywood's awards season kicks off tomorrow with the 81st Golden Globes. The event will take place at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in California with a star-studded lineup. Barbie and Oppenheimer are leading nominations, and there's hope Aussies, including Margot Robbie, will bring home a Globe.
No one's going to leave here unhappy. I think Margot Robbie will be holding a Golden Globe or two in her hands tomorrow night.
And you can watch it all live on Stan from 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Their bedroom boasts one of Sydney's best views, but now Taronga Zoo's giraffes have an extra brand new comfort. It's a 24/7 AI CCTV system to help keepers keep a close eye on their tallest tenants.
It's brekkie time on the Sydney Savannah. That is the giraffe enclosure at Taronga Zoo.
So there's olive, there's eucalyptus up there as well. There's even lucerne hay, which is a type of hay that they really love.
Jimmy Yu, Zarafa, Ebo and Keto up at the crack of to get stuck in.
Jimmy Yu's feeding from a bottle feeder with a bunch of different lettuce in that as well.
Drafting up the carte de jour for a giraffe comes after another important element to being a keeper. Regular and consistent observation and documentation of their behaviour.
It's a really critical part of our role. So that takes a lot of time, a lot of man hours. We can't actually be here 24/7 watching them.
And now for the first time, helping keepers keep watch, are 4 CCTV cameras that are linked to a computer housing artificial intelligence, monitoring the Sydney herd 24 frames a second, every day.
Having a 24/7 view on behaviour gives us a lot more information about our animals.
In zookeeper speak, it's called a behaviour budget.
If we can see that it's a really hot day and the AI tool is telling us that the giraffe's spending a lot of time in one part of the exhibit where it's quite shady, that can tell us that, maybe we need to utilise certain spaces a little bit more, or it can also just tell us why the giraffes were spending their time in the shade throughout the day.
It's early days for the giraffe's interaction with the computer age, but research such as this quickly filters into the world of zoology, giving us greater insight into the cornucopia of creatures with which we share the world.
We can get a more detailed look at what they're actually doing throughout their day.
At Taronga Zoo, Mike Dalton, 9 News.
Stay with us. Brittany Hoskins is back with your weather for the week right after this break.
Welcome back. We began the day with blue skies and sunshine before some high-level clouds streamed through in the afternoon. It didn't offer much relief from the heat, though. Perth's top temperature 36 around 1 o'clock this afternoon. Right now, it's around 30 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite, a deep trough over WA will move inland tomorrow, while a high-pressure ridge should keep much of the south of the state dry and settled. The east coast, on the other hand, copping showers and storms. Melbourne 22 tomorrow, rain increasing in Sydney, wet in the morning for Brisbane, and Adelaide partly cloudy with a top of 25. Back in WA, showers and thunderstorms expected over central and east Kimberley. Still severe heat for parts of the north. Newman 41 and 46 for Marble Bar. To the south, Geraldton sunny tomorrow and 34. Blue skies for Bunbury. Esperance heading for a top of 29. There's a strong wind warning for local waters tomorrow. South to south easterly winds 10 to 15 knots in the morning. Winds will reach up to 30 knots later in the day. Season swell increasing up to 2.5 metres in the afternoon. Becoming windy across some of our suburbs tomorrow. Joondalup 33, hot in Kalamunda, Rockingham and Mandurah, a top of 32 degrees. Perth will dip to a lovely 22 tonight. The top in the city tomorrow 35, winds 25 to 40 kilometres per hour. Looking ahead, a cool change will come through on Tuesday, becoming windy with a top of 31, sunny through the middle of the week, heating up again on Friday and Saturday, a scorcher, 38 the max. The temperature will drop on Sunday to finish off the weekend, while overnight minimums will range from 17 to 23 throughout the week. Some beautiful, balmy summer nights to look forward to, as well as some weekend sunshine to get you through the working week, Jenna.
Certainly heating up. Brittany, thank you so much. That's 9 News for this Sunday. Thanks for your company. Stay with us. The United Cup final is coming up next. Enjoy your evening here on 9.